Greetings, my friend. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Aaron Suzurik. Among other things, I'm a 200-hour yoga teacher. I teach at the Niles Girard Area Yoga Room in Ohio. Thank you so much for taking time today to take a yoga break. And today I'm bringing to you Padmasana, or the Lotus Pose. So in the past week, we have talked about a hip opener named Agnistambhasana. Okay, so that helped us to prepare for the Lotus Pose. It's otherwise known as Fire Log Pose, which I have an easier time saying. I will go ahead and practice that a few more times today if you can humor me. And so, the reasons why I like doing Lotus Pose go as follows. So, I feel very clear, I feel very at attention when I'm relaxing in Lotus Pose. It is very helpful to help me stay awake during meditation. During long periods of time where the mind isn't given anything to attach onto, sometimes lethargy can drift in. So when in Lotus Pose, your body is in such a position that the spine is encouraged to be very upright. And this helps to keep the mind nice and clear, and it helps to bring certain sensations of awareness into the body, which do help a lot in the meditation process. At least that's from my experience. It is very grounding. You are very stable in Lotus Pose. A lot of weight is put into one position, and your legs are kind of locked into each other, which is very nice. It's a great feeling of security, of presence in the present moment, in any moment that comes and goes. The Lotus Pose can aid one in feeling grounded and secure from my experience. Okay? It is very healthy posture, like I already mentioned. It just kind of naturally encourages the hips to roll forward, and that encourages the spine to lift in an upright position. Um, and it helps remind one that we can roll the shoulders slightly down the back and project the chest slightly forward without any real effort, just kind of following the natural progression of the way your body wants to move. And all of that helps to encourage very full breath, which is another key point in helping one stay wakeful and mindful during the meditation process of just allowing the present moment to be clear and present. Okay, so very good. So thank you, yoga, for Lotus Pose or Padmasana. And also, thank you for ways to help encourage our body and our mind into positions of awareness and clearness, leading up to poses like Padmasana, but also taking time to prepare through poses like Fire Log or Agnistambhasana. I did better that time, I think. I think what confuses me is it's such a long word, and sometimes I get caught up in the details of the letters. But when I let go of just trying to decipher every letter and kind of go with the flow of the sounds, it tends to come out easier. And that can be the way of things in a lot of fashions, like moving into the Lotus Pose. And I'll talk to you a little bit about the resistance that might come with moving into the Lotus Pose the importance that I found in my personal experience of practicing fire log or Agnistambhasana. So anyways, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the particulars of the lotus pose before we actually move into the posture. Very important to keep in mind is that ankle and knee injuries can be a contradiction to the lotus pose. So even if you don't have an injury, but your ankles or your knees are feeling particularly unstable or sore a particular day, keep that in mind and don't force yourself to practice this pose because it can be difficult for stiff ankles, stiff knees. Okay, this pose is considered an intermediate to advanced pose, so do not practice it unless you do have experience leading up to the pose or you have not worked with a seasoned instructor to help you um, move into more advanced postures. Okay? And I also wish to share the effects of Padmasana or Lotus Pose according to BKS Iyengar. These are found in his Light on Yoga, which is a translation of the Yoga Pradipika, on pages 131 to 132. Okay, so after the initial knee pains have been overcome, Padmasana is one of the most relaxing poses. The body being in a seated position is at rest without being sloppy. The position of the crossed legs and the erect back helps to keep the mind attentive and alert. Hence, it is one of the asanas recommended for practicing pranayama or breath control. Okay, on a purely physical level, the pose is good for curing stiffness in the knees and the ankles. The blood is made to circulate in the lumbar and abdominal area. The spine and abdominal organs are toned as a result. So there are many benefits to lotus pose, but like all poses, especially advanced to intermediate poses, we practice with care for our bodies and for our minds, for our overall being. So always proceed not necessarily with caution, but proceed with mindfulness, with awareness of what is happening. Don't be afraid, but don't be unpresent. Don't be unaware, I guess you could say. So do your best. That's all we can ever do. And let's go ahead and see how we may proceed into the lotus pose, okay? All right, very good. All right, so taking a nice seat on a mat or another surface that gives us adequate support, okay, for moving into a pretty stationary and stable and um, probably a seated posture that we want to take some time to enjoy once we get there. We'll go ahead and straighten the legs out. And before we move into lotus pose, before we move into Padmasana, we'll go ahead and do fire log once again as a warm up to help open up our hips to make the lotus pose a little safer to get into, especially if we have tight hips. Okay, so Agnistambhasana, here we go. All right, so first what we'll do is we'll go ahead and bend the right leg so that the ankle is on the ground and the sole of the foot is pointing to the left direction. And then we'll bend the left leg and set it over top of the right foot and begin to welcome a nice straight posture, as this will help us better align in the pose and better align with a hip opening to deepen that experience. And then to increase the hip opening, we'll go ahead and we'll move into a forward fold. Okay. So once in the forward fold, we can stretch the arms out like so. All right. We can stay here for a time. I usually count to myself about 10 seconds. And then when we feel we're ready, we can go ahead and open a little bit further if we would like. We can fold a little bit to the right side and place the left hand and left thumb in that knee crease and kind of pull the left thigh a little bit towards the outside, the inner thigh towards the outside, and remain here for maybe about 10 more seconds. All right, and then when we feel we have reached that, we can go ahead, come back up to a nice straight back, and we can go ahead and reverse it, okay? All right, so allowing the left leg to be the bottom leg, so the sole is pointed to the right, and then stacking the bent right leg on top of the left leg so that the ankle is on the knee, taking that nice straight posture to help begin alignment in the pose, to help open the hips up a little further, and then folding forward. Remaining about 10 seconds here. And always reminding ourselves that breathing in postures can really help us deepen and enjoy the experience. And when we're ready, folding a little bit more to the left, placing the right hand, thumb in that knee crease area, and pulling the right thigh a little bit outward towards the outer right to help deepen the hip opening on the right side, remaining here about 10 minutes, or 10 seconds. Very good. And then when ready, coming up to that nice neutral straight back, okay? And from here, we'll go ahead and we'll begin to move into Lotus Pose, okay? So moving the right leg up, straightening the legs, always taking care to move nice and intentionally with ease, not jolty actions. So we're taking care of the knees, learning to be careful, be kind to the knees. Because although Lotus Pose is a wonderful pose, if we move into it in the wrong sorts of ways, we can really hurt the knees. We can put them out of alignment, all right? So firstly, what we'll go ahead and do is we'll bend that right leg. We will place the heel of the right foot, the ankle, near or on the hip crease of the left side, okay? And once that feels like it's okay, if we want to open a little bit more with the hip, we can push down a little bit for a little while. Our right hand on the right knee. And then once we feel we've done that enough, we can go ahead and begin to bend the left leg. Now this should be kind of one fluid motion, okay? So taking the left leg over top the right. I like to tilt up a little bit and balance a little bit. That helps me to make sure that I'm not bending my knee in an unnatural way. If you can visualize, this is your knee, okay? The leg will bend like this, okay? It's not made to bend side to side at the knee, being a ball and socket joint. So you want to try to keep it so that it only bends like this. If you bend like this, a ball and socket joint, that could mean a joint's been thrown out of place, and that can bring a lot of suffering. So do your best not to do that. So you notice my left heel is near my right hip crease now. Okay. All right. And the bending, the lowering of the leg that allows that gap, that so your left leg can go over top your right, it's actually a result of your hips opening to the sides. It's not that the ball and socket joint is bending to the sides. And once you're in lotus pose on this side, take some time to just enjoy the pose. It's such a nice and grounding, stable pose. It encourages a nice straight posture, a nice full breath. Pranayama was mentioned, or breath control. And if there is a pranayama practice that you do enjoy to do, I invite you to take part in it. If you like to meditate for a while, could be any duration you prefer, I invite you to do so. Take some time to enjoy yourself in this pose. And once you feel that you've been in the pose on this side for long enough, maybe your knees and your ankles are reminding you it's time to move into the other side, I would invite you to do so. And in order to keep with our theme of protecting our knees, I would like to invite you to move out of the pose gently without a lot of jolting, choppy motions. I will show you how I prefer to move out of it, but we all learn what is appropriate for our body. So see what I'm doing, see if it makes sense to you, okay? So what I'm going to do is, rather than try to move my leg off by all of its own effort, which I could do, but it doesn't always feel the most comfortable for me to do so. So I like to help it. I like to facilitate the process with my hands, and I just move the leg forward. And this helps me especially when I get off the right leg, because I can just gently send the left leg down on the ground. So it prevents the ankle from hitting hard, which can be painful. Okay? And then I'll go ahead, tip up a little bit and move the left foot straight, the left leg straight, And move the right leg straight gradually and easily, reminding myself that my legs have been in a fairly unusual position for a while, and they could take some help to get back to what seems like a more normal way for them to be, which is out straight. Once you're out straight like this, you could take some time to realign the knees. You could take a forward fold, inhaling, moving the arms up, exhaling, and folding over the feet. Okay. And just spending some time in this forward fold. Such a patient, good companion I have. Yes. And he does like feet for some. All right. So we'll do the other side now. So we'll go ahead and bend that left leg. Take the heel and the ankle near the inner right hip crease. Okay. Have a nice straight posture once we're here. And then we'll go ahead and bend the right leg, maybe balancing if that feels good for us. This is how I prefer to move into the pose. Okay. Placing my left hand on the outer right foot. I just bend that leg and gently encourage it over top the left leg so that the right heel this time is near the left inner hip crease, okay? And taking that nice straight upright posture here, nice alignment. I also want to point out that my right knee is farther up from the ground, that there's a space here that wasn't present on my left side when I did it there. From what I've learned, I think this has to do with the openness of my hip sockets. On the right side, it's a little tighter than my left side. So you might find that it's different side to side. You might find that you're more balanced. But either way, it's just an experience of where we're at a time. I just wanted to point that out to let you know. It doesn't mean that there is something wrong with how you're moving into the posture. It just means your body is slightly different side to side. Okay. So once we're in this pose, taking time to relax into the pose, to enjoy the pose, the nice stableness and security that's in the pose. I also want to mention that if you're meditating for long periods of time in this pose, your bottom might get sore if you have a particularly flat surface under you, or if it's just a long period of time, any surface can seem a little bit painful for the sit bones. Like at the movie theater, you might imagine spending time watching a movie. My bottom always gets sore on those seats, even though they're made to be comfortable. So, anyways, we can take a cushion. This was provided for me by one of my good friends, Danny Litz. Thank you, Danny, so much for the meditation cushion. Also, Kitty likes it too. So, when we have the meditation cushion, what we'll do is you can get into the pose on the meditation cushion by first having your legs out straight, or you can just lift yourself up and move on to the cushion if you can manage that. All right. And once we're here, and it's still a long time, we might find that we do become cold if you're in a cold environment. So something else we can do. Sorry, kitty. Sorry, kitty. We can take a blanket of some sort, And we can just place it on our legs or even around our torso if we would like. But I find like if I like to have socks off during practice, that my feet can get rather cold. So this is very nice in that respect. Okay, so these are all of my experiences of Lotus Pose that I can think of at this moment. So I think we are pretty good for this time. We could enjoy the pose a little bit longer. You could move on to other poses if this is um, not the only asana in your practice, your physical practice for yoga today. You could meditate, you could do pranayama for a bit. Or if you would like, you can just thank your body. Thank the surface below and thank the vital breath. The body for providing us with the means to move through this practice. The surface below for supporting us, for giving us a way to feel grounded and secure in this experience of life. And then the vital breath for facilitating the whole shebang, for providing us with the means to connect with others, the means to connect with our practice, the means to be, to experience what it means to be human, what it means to feel both joy and sorrow, pain and pleasure. Thank you so much, body. Thank you so much, ground. Thank you so much, vital breath. Thank you so much, dear soul, for being here with me today. I pray that this experience has enriched you in some large or small way, that this can carry on through your day to day, and so on and so forth, providing you with inspiration, providing you with a safe place to come back to find yourself, to move inwards, so that your journey outwards may be purposeful, may be loving, may be kind and pleasant, harmonious and peaceful. Thank you, dear soul. Thank you. Thank you, yoga. Thank you, Padmasana. Thank you, Lotus Pose. Thank you. You have a wonderful day. God bless you. And Namaste. And just a reminder, you're getting out of your pose. Don't be too anxious. Gently and easily taking care of those knees. Maybe taking a fold. Taking a deep breath in, a deep breath out. Always being patient, always being kind, even if it takes a few moments more, and we're ready to go and turn the video off.